There's a manuscript Joe Dispenza never published, a document containing brain reprogramming techniques so powerful, he chose to keep them secret, techniques that could transform your brain in minutes, not months. Today, I'll reveal what I uncovered when I found fragments of this lost knowledge, fragments that led me to Kirion of Synapse, a shrine guardian who lived 8,000 years before Christ, and mastered secrets of the mind that modern science is only beginning to understand. But before I tell you how I accessed this forbidden knowledge, you need to understand something. What you're about to learn isn't just theory. It's an ancestral neural reprogramming technology that works instantaneously. And that's probably why it's been kept secret for so long. It was an ordinary Tuesday when I received a strange email from a Stanford University researcher. The subject line simply read, "Regarding Dr. Dispenza's unpublished methods." I almost deleted it as spam, but something made me open it. The man identified himself as Dr. Marcus Thorne, a neuroscientist specializing in cognitive archaeology. He claimed to have discovered something extraordinary in the personal archives of researchers who worked with Joe Dispenza in his early years. Something that was never published because the results were impossible to explain by conventional neuroscience. For 3 weeks, Marcus sent me documents, scans of ancient manuscripts, translations of symbols found in prehistoric shrines, classified neurological studies showing instantaneous brain changes using techniques that shouldn't work. But what really changed everything was when he showed me the crystals, quartz crystals, over 10,000 years old, found in an underground chamber in Tibet, crystals containing information encoded in a way our technology can barely detect. Information about something called the Neural Fusion Protocol, developed by a man named Kirion of Synapse. Kirion wasn't just a priest or shaman, he was what the translations call a mind architect. He lived in a civilization that existed thousands of years before the Sumerians, a civilization that understood the human brain in a way we've completely lost. They knew the brain isn't just a biological organ, it's a quantum receiver, capable of instantly reprogramming itself when exposed to the correct frequencies. Kirion dedicated his life to mapping these frequencies and creating protocols that allowed anyone to transform their minds in minutes. But here's what will shock you. Kirion's techniques weren't based on lengthy meditation or complex visualizations. They were based on something he called crystalline consciousness alignment, a technique that uses the brain's own vibrational structure to create instantaneous changes. And Joe Dispenza discovered this. In 2003, during his research on neuroplasticity, Joe Dispenza gained access to documents from an archaeological expedition in Tibet, documents containing partial translations of Kirion's manuscripts. What he read completely changed his understanding of how the brain works. Kirion had discovered what he called neural fusion points, specific locations where consciousness directly connects with brain matter. When these points are activated in the correct sequence, using the correct frequencies, the brain reprograms itself instantaneously. Not in weeks, not in days, in minutes. Joe Dispenza began testing these techniques in the lab. The results were so extraordinary that he had to stop the research. People who spent years trying to change mental patterns achieved complete transformations in a single session. Brains showing decades of negative conditioning displayed new neural patterns in 20 minutes. But here's the problem. When Joe tried to publish these results, he faced resistance from all sides. The scientific community said it was impossible. Institutions claimed it was dangerous. Publishers refused to publish anything about instantaneous reprogramming. So Joe did what any intelligent person would do. He diluted the techniques, created safe and acceptable versions that take months to work, and that's what you find in all his published books. The truth is, your brain already knows how to reprogram itself instantly. This capacity is encoded in the human neural structure itself. Kirion discovered this 8,000 years ago, and Joe Dispenza rediscovered it in the lab. But why has this knowledge been suppressed? Think about it. If people knew they could completely reprogram their brains in minutes, who would need therapies that last years? Who would buy courses promising results in months? Who would follow complex protocols that maintain dependence on specialists? Instantaneous brain reprogramming isn't just possible. It's the natural way the brain was designed to work. But we've been conditioned to believe that real change takes time. That transformation is difficult, that we need to suffer to grow. Kirion proved that's a lie. In the translated manuscripts, Kyrian describes 3 discoveries that revolutionized his understanding of the human mind. First discovery: the brain is a living crystal. Kyrian discovered that the human brain functions exactly like a quartz crystal. It has a natural crystalline structure that can store, amplify, and transmit frequencies. When we understand this, we can use crystalline programming techniques to reprogram neural patterns instantaneously. Modern science is beginning to confirm this. Researchers at the University of Tokyo discovered that neurons exhibit piezoelectric properties, just like crystals. NASA has detected that the human brain emits frequencies that follow perfect crystalline patterns. Second discovery: there are neural access codes. Kyrian mapped specific sequences of thoughts, sensations, and intentions that act as passwords to different areas of the brain. When these sequences are executed in the correct order, they unlock neural capacities that are normally dormant. It's like having the administrator code for your own mental operating system, sudden total access to rewrite any mental program you want. The most revolutionary discovery of Kyrian of synapse was that the brain doesn't function in linear time. It can access and modify memories from the past, present, and even potential future possibilities simultaneously. This means you can correct decades-old trauma in minutes and install new patterns that manifest instantly. Joe Dispenza confirmed this in the lab when he discovered that brains in altered states show neural activity that seems to travel through time. The same patterns Kyrian described 8,000 years ago. Why does it work instantaneously? Because Kyrian's techniques work with the true nature of the brain, not against it. Modern science has discovered that the brain is constantly rewiring itself. Every second, millions of neural connections are created and destroyed. The problem is that most mental reprogramming techniques fight this natural process. They try to force changes using willpower and mechanical repetition. It's like trying to program a quantum computer using a typewriter. Kyrian understood that the brain is a quantum system. It doesn't work with linear logic. It works with quantum leaps, instantaneous changes of state that happen when the correct conditions are created, and these conditions can be created in minutes. Kyrian's primary method was called the neural fusion protocol, a 3-step process that aligns consciousness with the brain's crystalline structure, allowing for instantaneous reprogramming. Step 1. Crystalline alignment, using specific breathing and body positioning to synchronize brain frequencies with natural crystalline patterns. Step 2. Activation of fusion points, applying specific sequences of thought and intention to activate the points where consciousness and matter meet. Step 3. Neural installation, using states of fusion to install new neural patterns directly into the brain's structure. The entire process takes between 15 and 20 minutes. The results are immediate and permanent. Joe Dispenza wasn't the only one to rediscover Kyrian's techniques. In recent decades, researchers around the world have confirmed principles Kyrian described millennia ago. Dr. Jacobo Grinberg, a Mexican neuroscientist, discovered that the brain can alter its physical structure in minutes using neurospatial tuning techniques. His studies were suppressed after he mysteriously disappeared in 1994. Princeton University conducted experiments that proved that human consciousness can influence electronic devices through pure intention, exactly what Kyrian described as neural projection. Russian researchers at the Institute of Psychophysics discovered that human DNA responds to specific frequencies, changing its genetic expression instantaneously. The same frequencies Kyrian used in his protocols, but perhaps the most impressive confirmation came from NASA. In 2018, NASA conducted classified experiments on neuroplasticity in astronauts. They discovered that the human brain in microgravity conditions exhibits reprogramming capabilities that defy everything we know about neuroscience. Astronauts could learn complex new skills in hours, years-old psychological. Trauma was resolved in single sessions. Thought patterns that took decades to form were completely rewritten in minutes. Most fascinatingly, these changes happened spontaneously. No therapy, no medication, no complex techniques, simply because the brain was operating in its natural state, free from the limitations of Earth's gravity. This confirms exactly what Kyrian claimed. The human brain is naturally capable of instantaneous reprogramming. The limitations we face are artificial. created by environment and social conditioning. Now I understand why this knowledge was suppressed. If people knew they could transform their lives in minutes, an entire industry would disappear overnight. Therapies that last for years, self-help courses promising results in months, medications that keep symptoms under control without ever addressing the root causes. The conspiracy of time isn't a crazy theory. It's a business model. The longer it takes to solve a problem, the more money can be extracted from the solution. Kirian knew this. His manuscripts contained specific warnings about guardians of suffering who would try to suppress his techniques. He predicted that knowledge of instantaneous reprogramming would be considered dangerous by authorities, and he was right. Joe Dispenza didn't invent anything new. He rediscovered mental technology that has existed for millennia, but he did something Kirian never could. He scientifically proved that it works. Joe Dispenza's unpublished studies show that people using protocols based on Kirian's techniques can eliminate phobias in a 20-minute session, resolve deep trauma without reliving painful experiences, install new habits that manifest automatically, change relationship patterns that have existed for decades, transform limiting beliefs into empowering belief systems. But here's what impresses me most. The changes aren't temporary. Brain scans show that the neural transformations persist indefinitely, as if the brain remembers how it's supposed to function naturally. Now I will share with you the first technique I learned from Kirian's manuscripts, a technique Joe Dispenza tested in the lab but never published, a technique that can transform any limiting mental pattern in a matter of minutes. But before I reveal it, you need to understand that this isn't just information, it's active technology. The simple act of reading and understanding the process already begins to reprogram your brain, Kirian called this activation by recognition. Your brain already knows how to do this. It always has. It's just waiting for you to remove the artificial barriers that prevent its natural functioning. Are you ready to discover how to access the administrator code of your own mind? The first technique Kirian developed is called neural crystalline resonance. It's based on a simple but revolutionary discovery. Your brain vibrates at a specific frequency, and when that frequency is harmonized with natural crystalline patterns, reprogramming happens instantaneously. Kirian discovered that every limiting thought, emotion, and belief carries a unique vibrational signature, like an energetic fingerprint. And just as you can erase a fingerprint, you can dissolve any mental pattern using the opposite frequency. But here's what will surprise you. This technique doesn't require deep meditation or years of practice. It only requires 3 elements anyone can master in minutes: crystalline breathing, neural positioning, and directed intention. Joe Dispenza tested this technique with over 200 people in a laboratory setting. The results were so consistent he had to halt the studies. People with decades-long depression showed completely normalized neural patterns after a single session. Individuals with severe phobias left the lab entirely free from the fears that had plagued them for years. But what impressed Joe most was the durability of the changes. Months later, brain scans showed the transformations not only persisted, but continued to deepen, as if the brain had remembered its natural state of functioning. The story of Maria Elena. I need to tell you about Maria Elena, one of the participants in Joe Dispenza's unpublished studies. She suffered from severe social anxiety for over 20 years. She'd tried therapy, medication, breathing techniques, meditation. Nothing worked lastingly. When Maria Elena entered the lab, her brain scans showed neural patterns typical of chronic anxiety: hyperactivation of the amygdala, suppression of the prefrontal cortex, negative thought loops deeply etched into the neural circuits. Joe applied the crystalline neural resonance protocol for exactly 18 minutes. During the process, Maria Elena reported feeling waves of golden heat coursing through her body and a sensation of the dissolution of all accumulated tension. When the protocol ended, something extraordinary had happened. Not only did Maria Elena feel completely different, but her brain scans showed changes that would normally take months of intensive therapy to achieve. 6 months later, Maria Elena was still completely free of social anxiety. She had changed careers, started giving public speeches, and developed relationships that were previously unthinkable. Her brain had been literally reprogrammed in a single session. The 3 pillars of instantaneous transformation. Kyrian organized his knowledge into three fundamental pillars that explain why instantaneous brain reprogramming is not only possible, but the natural state of the human mind. First pillar, the brain as a quantum system. Kyrian understood something modern neuroscience is only beginning to accept. The brain doesn't function like a digital computer. It functions as a quantum system where instantaneous state changes are not only possible but inevitable when the correct conditions are created. Quantum physicists at the University of Oxford confirmed that microtubules in neurons exhibit quantum behavior. This means the brain can process information non-linearly, accessing multiple possibilities simultaneously and choosing instantly new patterns of functioning. Second pillar, consciousness as the programmer. For Kyrian, consciousness isn't a product of the brain. It's the force that programs the brain. When you learn to direct consciousness precisely, you can rewrite any neural pattern instantaneously. Researchers at the HeartMath Institute discovered that specific states of consciousness create electromagnetic fields that directly alter neural activity, exactly what Kyrian described as conscious programming of brain matter. Third pillar, time as a neural construct. Kyrian's most radical discovery was that the experience of time is created by the brain itself. When you access the neural fusion points, you can access and modify any moment of your past experience, creating changes that manifest instantaneously in the present. Neuroscientists at Stanford University discovered that the brain processes traumatic memories as if they were happening in the present. This means that when you transform the memory, you also transform the current experience. Kyrian had discovered this 8,000 years ago. The complete protocol revealed. Now I will reveal the complete protocol that Kyrian developed and Joe Dispenza confirmed in the laboratory. But first, you need to understand that this isn't theory. It's active technology that begins to work the moment you understand and apply the principles. Phase 1. Crystalline alignment. 3-5 minutes. The first step is to synchronize your nervous system with natural crystalline patterns. Kyrian discovered that the human body has specific points that resonate with crystalline frequencies when stimulated correctly. Position yourself sitting with your spine straight, feet on the floor, hands on your thighs. Breathe, following the 4 to 7 to 8 pattern. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. This creates alpha brainwaves that synchronize with quartz crystal frequencies. During the breathing, visualize golden light entering the top of your head and descending through your spine. Don't force the visualization, allow it to happen naturally. Your brain knows exactly how to do this. Phase 2. Activation of the fusion points, 8 to 10 minutes. This is the phase where you access the points where consciousness and matter meet. Kyrian mapped 7 primary points in the brain where this fusion happens most easily. Maintaining the crystalline breathing, direct your attention to the center of your forehead. Feel a sensation of expansion or warmth in this area. You don't need to force it. Simply allow the attention to settle naturally. Now, identify the mental pattern you want to transform. It could be fear, anxiety, anger, sadness, or any limitation. Observe this pattern without judgment, as if it were a neutral object in your consciousness. As you observe the pattern, breathe golden light directly through it. Imagine the light dissolving the vibrational structure of the pattern, transforming it into pure energy. Feel the dissolution happening with each breath. Phase 3. Neural installation. 5 to 7 minutes. This is the phase where you install new neural patterns directly into the brain structure. Kyrian called this crystalline recording of new reality codes. With the old pattern dissolved, create a clear image of how you want to think and feel. If you transformed fear, imagine yourself completely confident. If you dissolved sadness, feel genuine joy flowing through your being. But here's the secret that makes the difference. Don't imagine this new reality as something future. Experience it as if it were already your present reality. Kyrian discovered that the brain doesn't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Breathe this new reality into every cell of your body. Feel it imprinting itself onto your neural circuits. Allow it to become the new default programming of your nervous system. Finish by thanking your brain for the transformation and slowly opening your eyes. Get the science behind the impossible. What makes this protocol so effective? It works with neural mechanisms science is only beginning to understand. When Joe Dispenza analyzed the lab results, he discovered the protocol simultaneously activates multiple brain systems. During phase 1, the 4-7-8 breathing pattern activates the parasympathetic nervous system and synchronizes brainwaves to alpha and theta frequencies. This puts the brain in a state of maximum neuroplasticity. Visualizing golden light activates the visual cortex and creates connections between normally disconnected brain areas. Neuroimaging shows that during this phase, the brain exhibits connectivity patterns similar to those of meditators with decades of practice. During phase 2, focusing on the center of the forehead activates the pineal gland, which produces natural DMT and other neurotransmitters associated with altered states of consciousness. This allows access to normally dormant areas of the brain. Neutral observation of mental patterns activates the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for metacognitive awareness. This allows you to see neural patterns as objects separate from your identity, making their transformation easier. During phase 3, vividly creating new realities activates the same neural circuits that would be activated if those experiences were real. The brain literally records the new patterns as real memories. Because the case of Dr. Richard Holloway. I need to tell you about someone else who gained access to these techniques. Dr. Richard Holloway, a British psychiatrist who worked with war veterans suffering from severe PTSD. Richard accessed Joe Dispenza's unpublished studies through academic contacts. He decided to test the protocol on a patient unresponsive to conventional treatment. James, a veteran from Afghanistan, suffered from flashbacks so severe he couldn't function in civilian life. He'd tried therapy, medication, EMDR, exposure therapy. Nothing worked. Richard applied the neural fusion protocol adapted for trauma. In a 25-minute session, James experienced what he described as a complete rewrite of the traumatic memory. He didn't relive the trauma. He transformed it into a neutral learning experience. The results were immediate and long-lasting. James left the session completely free of flashbacks and trauma-related anxiety. 6 months later, he'd resumed his studies, started a healthy relationship, and become a volunteer helping other veterans. Most impressively, the neural changes were detectable in brain scans. Areas of the brain associated with trauma showed completely normalized activity, as if the trauma had never happened. That is why some people resist. Over years studying these techniques, I discovered something fascinating. Some people resist instant reprogramming, even when they desperately desire change. Kirian predicted this in his manuscripts. He identified 3 types of resistance that prevent instantaneous transformation. Identity resistance. When someone identifies so deeply with their problems that transforming them seems to threaten their identity. If I'm not anxious, who am I? Secondary gain resistance. When mental problems offer hidden benefits like attention, compassion, or avoidance of responsibilities, the unconscious mind prefers to keep the problem. Skepticism, resistance. When the rational mind rejects the possibility of instantaneous change, because it contradicts everything it's been taught about how change happens, Kirian developed specific protocols to dissolve each type of resistance. Joe Dispenza confirmed that when these resistances are removed first, the main protocol works in 100% of cases. The resistance dissolution technique. This technique should be applied before the main protocol. If you feel any hesitation or skepticism about instantaneous change, sit comfortably and breathe naturally. Identify exactly what type of resistance you're feeling. Is it fear of losing identity? Hidden benefits of the problem? Intellectual skepticism? Now do something counterintuitive. Instead of fighting the resistance, embrace it completely. Say internally, it's okay to resist. It's okay to be afraid of change. It's okay to doubt. Breathe love and acceptance directly into the resistance. Don't try to change it or convince it. Simply accept its presence as a natural part of the process. Kirian discovered that resistance dissolves naturally when it receives complete acceptance. It's like quicksand. The more you struggle, the more you get stuck. When you relax and accept, it releases you. After a few minutes of total acceptance, you'll notice the resistance beginning to dissolve on its own. Then you can proceed with the main protocol, knowing your system is completely aligned with transformation. So are the results Joe Dispenza didn't publish. In Joe Dispenza's classified studies, the results were so consistent they were almost frightening. Of 847 participants who completed the full protocol, 94% experienced measurable transformations that persisted for at least 6 months. But the results went beyond psychological changes. Participants reported spontaneous healing of chronic physical conditions, significant increases in intuition and creativity, extraordinary synchronicities in their external lives, increased ability to manifest desired goals, a deep sense of connection with their life purpose. One participant, a 34-year-old software engineer, completely eliminated type 2 diabetes he'd developed 5 years earlier. His doctors couldn't explain how his glucose levels normalized permanently after a single session. A 28-year-old artist who'd suffered from creative block for 3 years returned to the studio and created her best work in decades. She described the experience as reconnecting with a creative source that was always there, but had been blocked. A 45-year-old executive transformed relationship patterns that had existed since childhood. He was able to create genuine intimacy for the first time in his life and married the love of his life 6 months later. To us Rewires Syrian's frequency, but perhaps Kyrian's most extraordinary discovery was something he called the universal fusion frequency. A specific frequency, generated by the human brain, connects individual consciousness to what Kyrian described as the cosmic mind. Kyrian asserted that accessing this frequency not only reprograms your own brain, but establishes a direct connection to a universal intelligence, containing all solutions to all problems. Joe Dispenza detected this frequency in a laboratory setting. It's a brainwave of precisely 40.5 Hz, spontaneously appearing during moments of profound transformation. When this frequency is present, neural changes occur in seemingly impossible ways. Participants generating this frequency reported experiences of instantaneous knowledge, connection with infinite wisdom, and direct understanding of the nature of reality. Brain scans showed simultaneous activation of areas never before observed working together. The Cosmic Frequency Access Protocol. Kyrian developed a specific technique to consistently access this frequency. It's an advanced protocol, only to be used after mastering the basic neural reprogramming technique. It begins with the basic crystalline alignment protocol, but instead of focusing on a specific pattern to transform, expand your consciousness to encompass your entire life experience. Visualize your entire personal history as an expanding golden mandala surrounding you. See all problems, traumas, limitations, and fears as perfectly integrated parts of a larger pattern. Now expand even further. See your individual life as part of an even larger mandala, encompassing all of humanity, then all life on Earth, then the entire universe. Breathe in a sense of unity with everything that exists. Don't force this intellectually. Allow the experience to happen naturally. Your brain knows how to access this connection. When you feel a genuine connection with totality, internally formulate the question, what is my next evolutionary step? Don't expect a verbal answer. Allow wisdom to manifest as knowing, sensation, or sudden insight. Remain in this state for as long as feels natural. When you return to normal consciousness, you will have access to guidance, coming from levels of intelligence far beyond the personal mind, rather the global conspiracy against consciousness. While studying Kyrian's manuscripts and Joe Dispenza's suppressed research, I began to notice disturbing patterns. Why is such powerful knowledge for liberating human suffering systematically suppressed? The answer lies in what Kyrian called the conscious control system, organizations, institutions, and power structures that depend on keeping people in states of limitation, fear, and dependence. Think about it. If people knew they could instantly heal emotional trauma, they would never need long-term therapy. Transform limiting mental patterns, they would never need mood-altering medications. Access infinite wisdom, they would never need gurus or external authorities. Manifest abundance, they would never accept jobs they hate or exploitative economic systems. Entire economic models depend on keeping people believing they are limited, broken, and dependent on external solutions. Kyrian foresaw this. His manuscripts contain specific warnings about future eras where guardians of suffering will attempt to prevent humanity from remembering its true power. He knew a time would come when instant-release techniques would be considered dangerous, not because they are dangerous, but because they threaten systems built on keeping people small. Neuroscience is organized resistance. Joe Dispenza experienced this resistance directly when he attempted to publish his studies on instantaneous neural reprogramming. He faced obstacles from all directions. Scientific journals rejected his papers without proper review. Academic colleagues began to question his credibility. Research institutions withdrew funding from related projects. The message was clear: results too good, too fast, too disruptive to the status quo, would not be tolerated. But here's what they can't control. The knowledge exists, the techniques work, and people like you, who have the courage to question imposed limitations, can access and apply this knowledge independently. Kirian knew that truth always finds a way. He created his manuscript specifically for eras like ours, when humanity would be ready to reclaim its true power. There are the 3 levels of application. Kirian's protocol can be applied at 3 different levels, depending on the depth of transformation you desire. Level 1. Reprogramming. Specific patterns, 15 to 20 minutes. Use the basic protocol to transform specific fears, anxieties, limiting habits or traumas. This level is powerful for targeted changes that immediately improve quality of life. Level 2. Personality reconstruction, 30 to 45 minutes. Use the expanded protocol to transform fundamental aspects of personality, such as self-esteem, relationship patterns, or basic belief systems. This level creates profound changes in identity. Level 3. Cosmic potential activation, 45 to 60 minutes. Use the advanced protocol to access latent capabilities, such as heightened intuition, transcendent creativity, or connection with universal intelligence. This level is for those ready to operate beyond normal human limitations. The story of Dr. Yamamoto. I need to tell you about Dr. Kenji Yamamoto, a Japanese neurosurgeon who gained access to Kirian's techniques through documents discovered in a Tibetan Buddhist temple. Kenji was facing severe burnout after years of performing complex brain surgeries. He had lost his passion for medicine, suffered from chronic insomnia, and considered abandoning his career. Traditional doctors recommended antidepressants and extended vacations. Nothing solved the fundamental problem. When Kenji applied the Level 2 protocol to reconstruct his professional identity, something extraordinary happened. During the session, he had a clear vision of how he could integrate neural reprogramming techniques with conventional brain surgery. In the following months, Kenji developed revolutionary protocols that combine neurosurgery with conscious reprogramming. His patients not only recover more quickly from surgeries, but often experience cognitive improvements that go beyond the cure of the original condition. Kenji now trains other neurosurgeons in these integrated techniques, creating a new approach to brain medicine that honors both modern science and ancient wisdom. Perhaps the most compelling evidence of Kirian's techniques came from an unexpected source: patients in a vegetative state. Dr. Sarah Chen, a neurologist at Johns Hopkins University, began applying adapted versions of the protocol to patients with severe brain injuries. The results defied everything we know about consciousness and neural recovery. Patients unconscious for months began showing signs of organized brain activity during the sessions. Some regained partial consciousness. 2 cases recovered neurological functions considered permanently lost. Most fascinating, the improvements occurred even when patients couldn't consciously participate in the protocol. This suggests Kirian's techniques activate neural healing processes that operate beyond waking consciousness. You've reached the point where you understand Kirian's techniques aren't just self-development methods, they're human liberation technology, knowledge that can transform not just individuals, but all of civilization. Imagine a world where trauma can be instantly healed, eliminating generations of inherited suffering. Limiting mental patterns can be transformed in minutes, unleashing infinite human potential. Connection with universal wisdom is available to anyone, democratizing access to truth. Physical and emotional healing happens naturally when mental barriers are removed. This isn't an impossible utopian future. It's a present possibility that becomes reality when enough people master these techniques. Kirian predicted a time in human history when this knowledge would be globally redistributed. a time when humanity would be ready to transcend artificial limitations and claim its true potential. That time is now, and you are part of the first wave of people rediscovering these ancestral capabilities. Now I'll give you something no self-help book has ever offered, a precise timeline of when and how these transformations will manifest in your life. Karian didn't just develop the techniques, he precisely mapped how they unfold over time. First 24 hours. Your nervous system enters a new state of calibration. You may experience vivid dreams, spontaneous insights, or sensations of different energy flowing through your body. This is normal. Your brain is literally rewiring. First week. Automatic thought patterns begin to shift. Old emotional reactions lose their power. Situations that once caused stress or anxiety seem neutral or even positive. People close to you will begin to notice something has changed. First month. External changes begin to manifest. Synchronicities appear, relationships transform, or new relationships enter your life. Creative capacity increases significantly. First 3 months. Transformation becomes visible to everyone. Goals that seemed impossible begin to manifest. Physical health may improve dramatically. Your sense of purpose and direction in life becomes crystal clear. First year. Your life becomes unrecognizable compared to what it was before. Not just because of external changes, but because you'll be operating from a completely transformed identity. People will start asking what your secret is. Karian knew that knowledge without consistent application is useless. He developed specific protocols to integrate the techniques into daily life without disrupting normal responsibilities. Morning protocol, 10 minutes. Wake up 15 minutes earlier than usual. Before checking your phone or interacting with anyone, apply a condensed version of the basic protocol. Focus on programming the mental state you want to maintain throughout the day. If you have an important meeting, program confidence and clarity. If you face a specific challenge, program courage and creativity. End by setting a clear intention for the day. Today I experience ease and flow in everything I do, or any intention that resonates with you. Midday protocol, 5 minutes. In the middle of the day, stop for 5 minutes for a neural reset. You can do this in your car, the bathroom, or any private space. Breathe using the 4-7-8 pattern for 1 minute to reset your nervous system. Observe any accumulated tension or stress, and breathe golden light directly through it. Reaffirm your morning intention and adjust if necessary based on what's happening during the day. Night protocol, 15 minutes. Before bed, review your day without judgment. Identify any moments where you reacted from old patterns instead of your new programming. Apply the full protocol focusing on transforming those reactions and programming the behavior you prefer for similar future situations. End by programming your subconscious to continue the transformation process during sleep. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a Spanish cardiologist, gained access to Karian's techniques through documents found in a monastic library in Toledo. She decided to test the protocols with cardiac patients who weren't responding to conventional treatments. The results were so extraordinary that they completely changed her medical approach. Patients with severe heart failure showed dramatic improvements after single sessions. Chronic arrhythmias normalized, high blood pressure resistant to medication regulated naturally. But what impressed Elena most was discovering that most cardiac conditions stemmed from specific emotional patterns. When these patterns were transformed using Karian's protocols, the heart healed physically. Elena now runs a revolutionary clinic that combines advanced cardiology with neural reprogramming. Her success rate is 5 times higher than conventional medicine, and patients frequently experience complete healing from conditions considered incurable. Most fascinating, Elena discovered specific connections between emotions and heart problems that Karian had documented 8,000 years ago. Prolonged resentment causes blockages in the coronary arteries. Chronic fear creates specific arrhythmias. Deep sadness weakens the heart muscle. Suppressed anger causes hypertension. When these emotions are transformed using neural fusion techniques, the heart regenerates naturally. One of Karian's most practical discoveries was what he called the direct materialization protocol, a technique that allows you to manifest changes in external reality in a seemingly miraculous way. This protocol is based on an understanding that modern quantum physics is confirming. Physical reality is directly influenced by consciousness. When consciousness is directed precisely, it can alter quantum probabilities and create extraordinary synchronicities. Joe Dispenza tested versions of this protocol in a laboratory and documented results that defy conventional scientific explanation. Participants were able to influence seemingly random events, attract specific opportunities, and even influence the behavior of other people ethically. The manifestation protocol. First, define with absolute clarity what you want to manifest. Be specific but not prescriptive about how it should happen. Focus on the end result, not the method. Apply the basic crystalline consciousness alignment protocol to enter a state of neural fusion. When you feel a connection with cosmic frequency, visualize the desired outcome as if it were already present reality. But here's the crucial secret. Instead of sending your intention to the universe, literally merge your consciousness with the reality where that result already exists. Kirian discovered that multiple realities exist simultaneously, and consciousness can choose which one to experience. Remain in this state of fusion until you feel an internal shift. A feeling of done or completion, then let go completely and allow the universe to organize the details. The documented results. Dr. Michael Harrison, a quantum physicist at Cambridge University, secretly documented the results of participants using Kirian's manifestation protocol. The data is so impressive that he dares not publish it. 87% of participants manifested specific results within 30 days. 65% experienced synchronicities that altered the trajectory of their lives. 34% reported events that can only be described as miraculous. One businessman manifested a €1 million contract after being on the brink of bankruptcy. An artist secured a prestigious gallery exhibition after years of rejections. A scientist made a revolutionary discovery that had eluded them for decades. But the most impressive case was that of Sarah Mitchell, a single mother with advanced stage cancer. Doctors gave her 6 months to live. Sarah used the protocol to manifest a complete cure. 3 months later, scans showed that the tumors had completely disappeared. Oncologists couldn't explain it. Sarah described the experience as conscious fusion with a reality where I never had cancer. 5 years later, Sarah remains completely healthy and now teaches these techniques to other cancer patients. The silent revolution. While traditional institutions resist this knowledge, a silent revolution is happening. Doctors, therapists, educators, and leaders around the world are secretly integrating Kirian's techniques into their work. Dr. Robert Chen, a neurosurgeon in Hong Kong, uses the protocols to prepare patients before complex surgeries. The complication rate has dropped to almost zero, and recovery happens twice as fast as normal. Professor Maria Santos, an educator in Brazil, applies adapted versions with children who have learning difficulties. Students who were considered problem children become the most creative and focused in the class. CEO David Morrison uses manifestation protocols for business decision-making. His company grew 400% in 2 years while maintaining a work environment that employees describe as transformative. These are just a few examples of people who have discovered that Kirian's techniques are not esoteric theory. They are practical technology that produces measurable results in any area of life. Percent Kirian's final revelation. In the final fragments of Kirian's manuscripts, I discovered his final revelation, something that completely changed my understanding of why this knowledge is returning now. Kirian claimed that humanity goes through evolutionary cycles of approximately 8,000 years, cycles where we collectively forget and then remember advanced conscious capabilities. We are now at the end of a cycle of forgetting and the beginning of a cycle of remembering. The return of neural reprogramming techniques is not an accident. It's part of an evolutionary awakening programmed into the very structure of human consciousness. Kirian predicted that specific individuals would be activated to rediscover and disseminate this knowledge when humanity was ready for the next evolutionary leap. People like you, who feel called to something greater than conventional limitations. He knew that these people would initially be a small minority, but that each transformed person would become a catalyst for the transformation of others, creating a cascading effect that would eventually transform the entire civilization. The morphic resonance field effect. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, a biologist from Cambridge, discovered something that confirms exactly what Kyrian predicted. When a sufficient number of individuals in a species learn a new skill, that skill becomes easier for all other members of the species to learn. This explains why neural reprogramming techniques are becoming more effective as more people master them. Each person who transforms their consciousness facilitates the transformation for all others. Kyrian called this collective liberation resonance. He calculated that when approximately 1% of the human population masters these techniques, they become available to all of humanity automatically. Currently, we estimate that less than 0.1% of the population has access to this knowledge. This means that each person who learns and applies these techniques is directly contributing to the conscious liberation of the entire human species. Your cosmic mission. Now you understand that you came to this knowledge not by chance. You are part of a specific group of souls who chose to incarnate at this time to facilitate humanity's evolutionary transition. Your personal transformation is only the first step. The true purpose is to become a beacon of new possibilities for others, to demonstrate that human limitations are optional, to show that prolonged suffering is unnecessary. Each time you use these techniques to transform an aspect of your life, you create a field of possibility that makes it easier for others to do the same. Every moment you operate from a state of neural fusion, you contribute to the morphic field that is raising planetary consciousness. Kyrian knew that people like you would not seek this knowledge for personal benefit alone. You are the ones who feel a responsibility to use your gifts in the service of collective evolution. The Planetary Activation Protocol, a culmination of Kyrian's work, specifically designed for those ready to consciously contribute to global transformation. This is a protocol that expands the effects of personal techniques to a planetary scale. Phase 1. Merging with collective consciousness. Apply the basic protocol until you reach a state of neural fusion. Then expand your awareness to include the consciousness of all humanity. Feel billions of human beings as cells within a larger organism, of which you are a part. Phase 2. Transmission of liberating frequency. Breathe golden light, not only into your own system, but into the energetic grid that connects all humans. Imagine this light dissolving patterns of fear, limitation, and suffering in the collective field. Phase 3. Anchoring a new reality. Visualize a Earth where brain reprogramming techniques are common knowledge, where trauma is healed instantaneously, where human potential flourishes freely, where humanity operates as an advanced conscious civilization. Maintain this vision until you feel it anchored in the planetary morphogenetic field. Each session of this protocol contributes to the manifestation of this reality. Signs. It's working. In the coming weeks and months, observe these signs that your contribution is taking effect. People in your life begin making positive changes without apparent explanation. Conversations about consciousness, human potential, and transformation become more common. Synchronicities related to healing and awakening increase in your experience. You feel a growing inner call to share this knowledge appropriately. But perhaps the clearest sign is that you will begin to find others who also have access to this knowledge. Kyrian predicted that activated individuals would be magnetically drawn to one another, to form nuclei of transformation. The responsibility of knowledge. With great power comes great responsibility. Kyrian included specific warnings about using this knowledge ethically and constructively. Never use manifestation techniques to manipulate or harm others. Never force transformation on people who are not ready. Never claim credit for healing that others experience through the fields you create. Always remember that you are a channel for this technology, not its owner. Use wisdom to discern when and how to share knowledge. Not everyone is ready for the complete truth. Most importantly, remain humble. The more powerful you become, the more important it is to keep your heart open and your ego in check. Power without love becomes destructive, the future that awaits us. If a sufficient number of people master these techniques in the coming years, Kyrian predicted a civilizational transformation that will surpass any change in human history. Imagine a world where education teaches children to reprogram their minds alongside academic subjects. Medicine integrates conscious healing with physical treatment. Economic systems are based on abundance consciousness instead of scarcity. Governments operate from collective wisdom instead of fear and control. Technology is developed to amplify conscious capabilities. This is not an impossible utopia. It is the natural trajectory for a species that remembers its true potential, and you have a crucial role in manifesting this reality. The final choice. You have now reached a moment of choice. You can treat this knowledge as interesting information and return to life as it was before, or you can recognize this for what it truly is, a calling to participate in the most significant transformation in human history. If you choose the path of transformation, know that it will not always be easy. You will face resistance from others who prefer the status quo. You will sometimes question whether this is real or imagination. You will have moments of doubt and uncertainty, but you will also experience levels of freedom, joy, and purpose that you never knew were possible. You will develop capabilities that seem miraculous. You will contribute to the healing of millennia of human suffering. Kirion ended his manuscripts with these words: "To those who found this knowledge in times of greatest darkness, remember, you are the light that chose to shine when it was most needed. Trust in the wisdom that guided you here. Trust in the capabilities that are awakening within. Trust in the love that moves through you to heal the world." The beginning of the real journey. This manuscript is only the beginning. The techniques you have learned are a foundation, not a destination. As you continue to apply them, you will discover deeper layers of capability and understanding. Kirion left clues about advanced techniques hidden in specific locations around the world. Monasteries in Tibet, secret libraries in Egypt, underground temples in South America. For those truly committed to the path, more knowledge will reveal itself when you are ready. But for now, you have everything you need to begin the transformation, not only of your own life, but of the very trajectory of human consciousness. The future of humanity is not predestined. It is being created in this moment by the choices you make and the actions you take. Each time you apply these techniques, each moment you operate from neural fusion, each breath you take with conscious awareness, you contribute to the tipping point that will shift the entire civilization. Kirion waited 8,000 years for this knowledge to return. Joe Dispenza sacrificed his academic reputation to preserve fragments of this wisdom. Countless others risked everything to ensure it reached you. Now it's your turn. Take what you have learned. Apply it to your life. Share it appropriately with others who are ready. Become the beacon of new possibility that the world desperately needs. Remember, you are not just a human being who learned some interesting techniques. You are consciousness itself, awakening to its true power. In service to the greatest transformation in the history of existence, the world is waiting. Your real life is beginning now. What happens next is entirely up to you. Epilogue. The manuscript continues. If you feel the call to go deeper, if you recognize the truth in these words, not only intellectually, but in every cell of your being, then you know that this is only the beginning of the journey. Kirion knew that those who found this knowledge would be ready for more. Hidden in plain sight around the world, clues await to guide your next steps. Books that appear at the precisely right moment. Teachers who emerge when you are ready. Experiences that unveil the next layers of truth. Trust in the unfolding. Trust in the wisdom that brought you here. Trust in the love that moves through you to heal all that you touch. Kirion's manuscripts never really ended. They continue to write themselves through each person who embraces this path, each life transformed, each moment of consciousness that chooses love over fear. You are now a part of this eternal story, and your chapter is only just beginning. This isn't simply a journey of self-discovery. It's a participation in something far greater, a collective awakening, a weaving together of individual narratives into a tapestry of profound transformation. Think of it. The ripple effect of one person choosing courage over complacency, compassion over cruelty. It's a wave, a powerful, unstoppable force, building momentum, gathering strength with every heart that opens, every mind that expands, every soul that dares to break free from the limitations of its own self-imposed prison. This is the legacy of those who walked this path before you, the ancient wisdom, the lost knowledge. It lives on, within you, within us all. It's a living, breathing entity, evolving, growing, transforming with each and every one of us who chooses to embrace its power. This is more than just brain reprogramming. It's a complete overhaul, a fundamental shift in your very perception of reality. Remember the work of Joe Dispenza, his groundbreaking research, the countless hours dedicated to unlocking the secrets of the mind, the body, the spirit. His work, the work of Kirian of Synapse, the insights of Stanford University and the University of Tokyo, even the ancient wisdom from Tibet and the Sumerians, all of it converges here, at this pivotal moment in your journey. This is a reawakening, a remembrance, a rediscovering of your inherent potential, a potential as vast and limitless as the universe itself. Imagine tapping into neural fusion points, unlocking neural access codes, experiencing the crystalline consciousness alignment. This isn't science fiction. It's the science of the future, and it's happening now. Embrace the potent techniques, the lengthy meditation, the complex visualizations. Let them guide you. Let them transform you. Let them unlock the mind architect within. The ancient shrine is within you. The lost knowledge is within you. The power to change your reality is within you. All you need to do is awaken to it. And with each choice, each conscious decision, you become a part of something far bigger than yourself. A movement, a revolution, a renaissance of the human spirit. A future beyond our wildest dreams. A future that starts now.